All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming out. I honestly didn't know, what to expect as far as attendance. So I'm very privileged and honored to be hosting this Sunnyside chat. And I guess first off, I just want to say what's up to all the Roses, whether you're online or present, and let you all know I appreciate the warm welcome. I'm still pretty new to the squad, but it's been wonderful. And I've been bragging on us and to the other minority, crews about how dope we are and how they need to come over and get with us. And with that said, I'm gonna introduce my mentor, Chanel Power, straight out of NYC. What borough are you from, Chanel?
Southside, we outside. It's Queens in the building.
All right, Queens. But you representing the DMV right now.
I know. Listen, small.
All right.
But yeah.
Yeah, man. So Chanel, I met Chanel actually on LinkedIn. I just randomly came across a job advertisement that I was interested in that she posted about. So I hit her up, and the job had been taken, but she kind of just really took me under her wing and was like, yo, I got some other opportunities for you. I represent where are the Black designers. So I joined that squad, and, she put me on. She helped me tighten up my resume and just sort of introduced me to the big tech game. I'm more of a mid-market tech guy. I'm from Chicago, but I'm out of Orange County, and we're a middle market here. So I'm trying to step up my game, and Chanel's been helping me do that in a major way. So I started bragging on her, to a couple of Roses, and here she is. I'm sure she's got mad wisdom to share, with the whole crew. So with that, I just want to give a very quick, bio to Chanel, about Chanel rather. She could do it herself, but I want to brag on her for a quick sec. Chanel is an experienced software engineer who utilizes her collaborative skill set to enhance the user's experience within technology at a large FANG, is that how you say it, Chanel, company? She specializes in accessibility. I'll let her elaborate on that once we get going with the questions. Chanel, but more importantly, Chanel is the founder of Mentor Me, Chanel, a program that addresses the lack of representation in the tech space. Her mission is to empower the next generation of leaders, particularly within the Black community, and dare I say, the Black diaspora, if not the BIPOC diaspora, and to challenge the status quo, break the glass ceiling, and to cultivate lasting connections. Her core values of empathy, ambiguity, and leadership empower her to inspire her mentees in building their legacy for the future. So without further ado, Ms. Chanel Power, how are you?
I am so good, Kahlil, man. You got me over here. Listen, I'm over here high yellow, so you got me blushing and
welcome to the club.
But I'm so excited and so grateful to be here. I mean, Kahlil has been talking about the dopeness of the Rose Squad. And so I'm super excited to be here and join with you guys. Like he said, yep, I am a software engineer at Apple, which is really a big blessing. A lot of us, just people of color within the BIPOC community, we may not be mostly represented there. And so it's a blessing to be able to not only be in there, but also kind of keep the window open and that portal open and kind of help other folks, not only into Apple, but also other FANG companies as well, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, Microsoft, the list goes on as well. So super excited to be here. Excited also to really speak to mentorship, which is something that is near and dear to my heart. I really took the leap of faith to begin my journey during the time of, when all the killings of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, all of that happened in the Black community. And within that space, I was really trying to figure out how I can do my part in supporting my community. At that time, I didn't feel too comfortable to go out into the streets and protest, especially with the job and the way that I had financially with taking care of my family, because I am the first person in my family to kind of break that glass ceiling in that way, to have a nice paying job in the tech space. And so anyway, long story short, I was honestly, me being a spiritual person, let me say that, I was praying and asking God to help me figure out how can I impact my community in a positive light, right? And kind of outside of marching, what else can I do? And I realized, almost like the scripture says, look at what's in your hand. And I realized that I was just always a resource in regards to any kind of community, right? When it came to jobs, when it came to resumes, when it came to free tickets at conferences and scholarships. And I said, you know what would be the best way for us to build? And for me, that was really building wealth, right? And how does that start? That helps us. And it starts with getting our resumes, everything on paper together first, helping out with portfolios and building up in that regard. And so literally I went from Netflix and popcorn, posted a post on LinkedIn, and 300 people signed up using my calendar link. And honestly, a week later, it spun into a mentorship program with curriculum and all that kind of stuff as well. So super excited, super just grateful for the opportunity, you know, for folks to even trust me with their career and with their next steps. And that's really important as well. So I'm excited to kind of dig deeper, to share gems and tips that I've gathered along the way from all of my experiences, from hanging out like with folks like you and kind of gleaning as well. And yeah, I'm excited.
Very cool. Well, you basically answered my first 4 questions
Oh, Lord.
in your monologue, and that's all good because I got more for you, and we'll make up some
You
more along the way.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure the rest of the crew will have some questions as well. But why is mentoring vital to the development of BIPOC and disadvantaged communities? You know, you expressed to us sort of what moved you in that direction and how, you know, you began doing it. But, you know, what would you say to that question? You know, why is it so vital?
So that's an amazing question. It's really important for us to stop, take a moment, and to look back and help those behind us. I was raised with super pro-Black family, and we always would say we stand on the shoulders of those who've come before us, right? And so that's really what really has kind of catastrophically taken over my life as a servant leader. It's important to utilize some kind of value that you have instilled within yourself and continue to help you push and move forward. So mentorship is very important because you can't lead the blind, can't lead the blind, right? And that's just what reality is. I think, again, when you slow down, when you realize like you didn't get there on your own, but you also look back and look behind and see that there's another generation coming as well. And they deserve to be prepared too. Also, I found that mentorship is important too, because you can get there, but you may not stay there long if you don't have folks helping you and shaping you and molding you into a professional for corporate America. There's so many different facets, even myself, I had to learn. Being from New York, I mean, you know, from Queens, born in a single parent household, you know, from Southside Jamaica, Queens, I mean, there's a kind of language that we speak amongst ourselves. And for me, that was my reality. And so when I had my mentor, he said, you know, you're a little rough around the edges. So we got to get you having that conversation to be synonymous with those who are in corporate spaces, because guess what? You know, there's not a lot of representation in there. They don't understand, you know, colloquialism, for better terms, you know what I mean, quote unquote. And so you have to understand and be able to speak the language. You have to understand the culture. And so I wouldn't be able to understand that. I wouldn't even be able to be in the space that I'm in today had I not had folks kind of like that, who weren't afraid to kind of challenge where I was, who I was able to also trust, right? To knowing that my well-being was not only important, but it was vital in my growth as well. So mentorship is very important in making sure, again, you're able to get to your end goal. You don't get there by yourself. There's an African proverb that says, like, if you want to go somewhere, take yourself. But if you want to go far, you have to have folks with you. So I believe it takes a village.
Amen. So, you know, you've given us a nice overview, philosophical, you know, mind you, overview, as well as an experiential overview, you know, of your mentoring profession. But, you know, I want to get more into the deeper mechanics of it. So, you know, first of all, what is it that drives the specific established mentorings you have in your program? And then as a result, what have your mentees achieved? What has been the fruits, of these various mechanics that you instill in your mentees?
Mm. All great questions. So I'm going to start with the first part. So what really drove me and drives me continuously, right, with my mentees, because not every day is a great day. But I think my anchor, I'll say, is again that end goal, right? I feel like it's important to know where your mentee is mentally. And that comes from just kind of knowing them outside of that mentor relationship and digging deeper, right? And so for me, what keeps me motivated is knowing, one, it is not personal. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever riff we may have, or maybe if I explain something or maybe suggest something that is not favorable in their sight, you know what I mean? I help them to understand that it's not personal. This is the blueprint that I've seen work for other people, and I know that it's going to work for you. I think also allowing them to understand every day that I'm here, I'm on your team. We're both on the winning team together. I'm not here to tear you down. I'm here to build you up. And I'm here also to bring out those sides of you that you didn't even know existed. I think that's important as well. And in my mentor relationships, man, it's been rough. You know what I'm saying? They've seen sides of me that they probably didn't even know was there. But I also have discovered parts of myself that I would have never knew was there if they didn't slow down, take the time to kind of invest in that intimate way. And so I think that's important. And that's what keeps me going. Again, knowing that, listen, regardless of what we're going through today, I know tomorrow is going to be a better day and it's going to be more light. To your second question, in regards to, actually, can you re-ask that? Because I want to make sure.
Yeah, most definitely. So, what have they achieved, through your initiatives?
Excellent question. So again, knowing that we're not here it's not a race, it's more like a marathon, right? So it's a long-term journey. I have been, again, with my longest mentee, it's going to be about a year and a couple of months. But the achievements that come from that are not only getting jobs at these major companies, being able to break down generational wealth or break into generational wealth, and even negotiate salaries, but it comes with confidence. When you walk into these rooms with all these different people, you got to have your shoulders held high, your chin high, and you have to have that confidence to be able to own what you do. Also understanding and kind of I like to say redesigning their psyche, their thought process, into understanding that, yes, you might be the only person in the room, but that's okay. Because obviously they hired you because you're an expert in something. And what I want you to do is to believe that you are that. That's something that I even had to discover within myself, even within my current role. Growth is uncomfortable, right? But it's undeniable. Like you're not going to be in a situation. I mean, if you want to grow, let me say that, because you gotta want it. But if you want to grow and you want to continue in that path for your career and also personally, it's going to be uncomfortable. You have to step out of your comfort zone and stretch yourself. And it's going to award you with, again, identifying spaces within yourself that you didn't know were there, identifying gifts and talents within yourself that you didn't know were there. And then also, like, jumping down to the end goal, really, which is to get you a really great job and to help you continue, again, that generational wealth. Helping you bring out the best attributes of yourself, and believing, again, that those really are you. You're not faking, you're not being someone that you aren't. And I found like that is really important, especially within the BIPOC community. A lot of us just don't believe that we're dope. A lot of us, like somebody can tell us and we'll be like, yeah, you just trying to gas me. No, but for real, you really are. And so I think my job in that regard, and honestly, the rewards, is me seeing the confidence, the lights instilled in my mentees' eyes to know, like, bruh, I'm bomb on paper, I'm bomb online, and bruh, I'm about to ace this interview because you're about to hear why I'm bomb as well. So that for me is the biggest reward, outside of all of the acceptances and the job offers. A lot of my mentees have work at FANG companies now, making way more money than even again, their previous generation has made. A lot of folks are starting new jobs, new internships, careers, all these kinds of things. But again, I think, again, the biggest reward is seeing that confidence and seeing them own it.
That's what's up. Actually, just to kind of expand on that question, I'm curious, how many mentees do you have? How many have you had? Are they mostly in the DMV area? Are they online? Do you go back home and mentor? So like, what's the layout of your mentoring, if you will?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, in regards to overall mentees, I mean, I've had over 400 people cross the span of me from last year this time till now. Intimate mentee mentor relationships that I can say have blossomed because they were in the space as well to take the advice and that feedback and kind of turn it into something beautiful. Currently, right now, I'm at about 87. So 87 folks intimately mentoring, and about 43 of them have already gone on to have full-time jobs, internships, and apprenticeships, if you will. So, currently it's an ever-growing process. The mentees join at all different types of seasons and times. It's like an ongoing thing. So I think the biggest thing, going back to the layout, is really I let my mentees, so I have a structure, right? I believe at the beginning of our relationships, we need to define the goals. We need to define understanding your personal goals, your career goals. We also need to talk about expectations, the expectations you have of yourself, but also the expectations you have of me, because I believe that miscommunicated expectations, child, we are going down a rabbit hole of
Yeah.
success and failure. And so once we figure that out and then also have them vision cast, I feel like a lot of times they say, I want to work here, I want to work here. I want you to do that research. Did you really take the time to go out and seek out each of these careers at each of these dream companies of yours and see what the requirements are? Where do you need to improve? What skills do you need to begin to learn? What skills you already have? And then kind of work from that like realistic point and then go up from there. And so within that structure though, you have folks who are like, Chanel, just give me the tools and I can make it happen. But you also have folks who are like, Chanel, I have the tools, but I need you to kind of hold my hand through that. And that's okay. I think it's okay for them to feel empowered in their own way to do certain things, but also want them to feel comfortable to know that they don't have to feel bad for who they are and what their makeup is, and also where they are mentally in that moment.
Very cool. So that kind of goes, you kind of touched on what my next question is, and and this is definitely coming from my own experience. Me being, I'm Gen X, just a disclaimer, I'm Gen X, I'm 45, so I'm mid-career. And, you definitely have to, if you want to continue to grow, you definitely have to open your mind to some things that, maybe, you previously may not, have. So with that, I'm curious, is there ageism in mentoring? And what is your approach to mentoring a young upstart versus an experienced career changer, such as myself?
That is a good question. I really believe it has to deal with the mindset. So there is ageism, but I feel like mindset trumps that because, older folks may want or say they want the mentorship, but because they may feel like insecure or they may feel some kind of way about getting mentorship from a younger person, they might not be ready for it. However, younger folks, they may have the mindset of like, I'm just ready to eat. And all I need you to do is show me where the chicken is, where, where the chainsaw's at, and I'm about to go ham. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's really all about mentorship. I mean, at any stage in life, as long as you have the right mindset to really want to grow, to really want to take in that feedback and to make it a practical or to make it into a practical use of that feedback, you're winning, like regardless.
Yeah, most definitely. No, for sure. Because like I have another mentor, she's in her 60s, you know what I'm saying? She's a designer. She just never stops pushing the envelope. She's got that edge, you know what I'm saying? And that creative edge is timeless, you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter. Like you got old artists in their 80s and 90s, you know what I'm saying? I've read about, and they've still, got that edge. And as a result, their whole crew is young folks, and everybody's putting them on blast as young folks because they keep the creative edge, they push the envelope, and they stay open-minded and learning. So, I really would like to see more, older folks get mentored by younger folks, you know what I'm saying? Because, it's needed. And
And you know what
also,
also, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
no, it's
I was
cool.
gonna say also, lots of things change.
Right,
The resume has changed, I don't know how many times. So like I have folks who are also like in their 40s or 30s too, who are just like, man, like this is my resume and it's a whole book. And I'm just like, bruh, the recruiters these days don't even want to read a bullet point. You can't give them a paragraph, honey. So,
right.
oh, you know, learning the art of even that and kind of navigating through that as well. You know,
Yeah,
it's so beneficial. And then also we learn from you all as well. You know what I mean? There may be mannerisms that we have that we might need to slow down on. You know what I'm
no
saying? There's
doubt.
ways that we communicate that we might need to readjust in. And so I
Yeah.
definitely think it's a give and take.
Yeah, I just got to add one more thing to that, because a classic example is what you're talking about. I used to live in Minnesota. I knew this cat. He was the founder and president of a nonprofit geared towards, mentoring, creatives, and
Oh wow.
particularly artists, but creatives in general. And the way that he mentored people was that he would hire them, and then he would step back. He would basically demote himself and
Mhm.
promote them, and basically lead them from behind so that they can grow as leaders, and what have you, you know. But yeah, so that's just another little nugget, as far as alternative,
Mhm.
methods of mentoring, particularly across generations.
For sure.
Yeah. So I guess I got a couple more questions for you, but I definitely want the Roses to get it in too. And one thing I'm really curious about is one of your core values, which is ambiguity, you know? And I was hoping you could expand on that, and how it impacts your mentees.
That's such a good question. Hmm. Ambiguity is a value that I have grown to love being in tech. Things change every day. You could be
Damn right.
working on a project for months, honey. They coming in, they talking about scratch that. And I'm just like, listen. So I have come to realize that flexibility, ambiguity, and really embracing the unknown is a skill, it's an art, but it's necessary in order to stay, I don't want to say alive, but to stay relevant in this new day and age. And
Yeah.
so ambiguity for me, and especially when it comes to mentorship, means not having expectations that everything is going to be the same, that every mentee is going to be the same, that every relationship is going to be the same, but really giving growth to that, and allowing space for each mentee to grow. This is how I like to think about it. A sunflower is not going to grow the same way a rose does, right? A tulip is not going to grow the same way as a avocado tree. Every different plant, every different fruit, vegetable, they need their own environment, and they also need their own sun. They need their own nurturement. Some, like the cactus, he don't need much. You know what I'm saying? He just chilling. Rain every couple months, he good. You know what I'm saying? But other plants may need a little bit more attention. So I think that's where the ambiguity definitely comes into play when it comes to mentorship and openness for sure.
No doubt. Very quickly, I just want to give a quick shout out to Justin Andrews, who designed the flyer for this Sunnyside chat. So I didn't see him at the beginning of the
I'm right here.
yeah. What's up, brother?
Well, how are
But
you, man?
yeah, man.
Hello, Mr.
Yeah,
Chill.
he
How are
killed the
you?
design. He killed the design. So
Mhm.
big up to Justin.
Big
Thank you so
up.
much.
No
Thank you.
doubt.
Thank you. I'm glad I was able to do it. It's a pleasure of mine for sure. Thank you
Right
so
on, my
much.
bro. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. No problem.
All right. So, man, there's really only one other question I have, and it's the $1 billion question. How did you rise from the concrete, and how do you think we can help others do the same?
And that's so good. I'm gonna say, and this is definitely my takeaway. The reason why I'm able and I was able to rise from the concrete was because of the strength in my village, and understanding that every person in my life was able to contribute a tug at pulling me up from that concrete. right? Like that concrete in the jungle, or the rose in the concrete, if you will. So I definitely say that it's your village, or for me, it was my village, and I want to provide the same thing for my mentees as well. And the village for me, and especially through mentorship, looks like my network. Folks that I'm connected to in every aspect of life, whether it's design, whether it's in engineering, whether it's in medicine, fashion, education. I mean, I've been at all kinds of different conferences and met so many different people. I think if we can take the awkwardness and the amount of time that it really takes to build a network and really just share resources, man, there's nothing that we can't be able to accomplish.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I definitely want to pass it off to the roses, but before I do that, I just, wanted to thank you, for, taking this time, and I'll pass the mic and mute.
My absolute pleasure, guys. Any questions?
I have
So
a
I'll
question.
Oh, go ahead, Ferris.
Oh, Miss Janelle. And I think I got that
Yeah.
right this time.
Mhm.
Probably couldn't see because of the glasses.
No, you're good.
Okay. So I think one question, and I know everybody maybe has a different way of doing this, is how do you nurture your mentor-mentee relationships?
That's such a good question. Honestly, I don't even think I've mastered this, but I show up every time at 100%. Regardless of my day, regardless of my family and they drama, honey, the whole nine. Even if the cat is getting on my nerves that day, I'm like, you know what? This is our time. This is our one-on-one. And I want you to know that I value your time. I value you, and I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up. So I think that investing, so especially now in this COVID time, time is so very important, and folks are realizing that as well. And those intimate moments, one-on-one connections are too. So being able to give that, and away from the distraction, away from the noise, and fully and authentically presenting your full mind, right? And being fully present, I think that itself is priceless, and it builds rapport with your mentees to the point where they begin to respect you, they begin to love you, they begin to even call you family, and you see your relationship definitely growing, even within intimacy and vulnerability, and most importantly, trust. They'll trust you with so much more if they see that you're really invested.
Thank you. Awesome. I love that.
My pleasure.
So I have a two-part question. First, my first question is, what qualities make a great mentor? But then also the second question is, what qualities make a bad mentor?
Such a good question.
And actually, the bad part, those aren't really qualities; they're just bad people. But but if you could, I mean, just maybe 3 of the first and then 3 of the second, because I think it'd be important for us to kind of learn that today.
That's a good question. A great mentor is one who enters into the space without bias. I know that's hard, but it is something that I've come to realize that makes for a more successful relationship. When you don't judge a person even off of how they're looking on a piece of paper. You know what I mean? Or even what you see. So it allows you also to dig deeper into, again, getting to know them purposefully. So that's one. The second one I would say would be one who is open. And when I say open, I mean even open to feedback, because mentees sometimes will give you some feedback about yourself that you like, you can't tell me that. Like, my mama can say that, but that ain't none of your business. You know what I'm saying? They'll touch on really sensitive parts of yourself, and bring out parts of you that you, again, probably didn't even know you had within yourself. So definitely be open. And I think the last thing I would say is, constant learner, slash, well, I was going to say growth, but you're just constantly learning. So when I say that, I mean, for me, constantly learning means being in all kinds of circles to be able to help any kind of person that could come across me. So if a person is in editing, if it's a person in content, it's a person in UX design, if it's a software engineer, mechanical engineer, even down to recruiting and HR, I want to know all kinds of people that can give back to my mentees in that way. I'm going to go to conferences. I'm going to go network. I'm going to go join different groups on Slack. Now, that's not everybody's capacity. You know what I'm saying? I just got a high capacity. So find your space, work with that, and invest in your mentees in that way. And just trying to make sure that you are well-rounded and giving them information and perspective. Going to the second part of the question, honestly, I want to say, so communication is very important, and a mentor who is not open to communicating to your mentees in different kinds of ways. I know some of us like phone conversations more than text. Some of us like video chats more than, again, an email. Find what works for you and that mentee, right? Communicate. I feel like that communication, that if it lacks, it will hurt and detrimentally that relationship. So find what works for you. And that, again, is going to be different from every mentee or mentor. So definitely finding that. The second thing that I would say would be an area of opportunity that we can grow within would be, I want to say structure, but I think there's a good and there's like a positive and a negative to that. When I say structure, I mean, yes, you should have like a certain way that, you kind of evaluate or like what, how they're getting to their goals or how they're reaching their goals. But you don't want to be so focused on this is how you need to do it or that's how you need to do it. Like let there be openness. I feel like I'm saying literally the same thing I said earlier, but let there be openness so that you guys can grow within the space. Within, again, like the questions or the expectations or the goals that both of you guys have set at the beginning, have those check-ins, and then, making sure that you guys are really on target to meet those goals. And lastly, I can't think of anything else that would make a super terrible one. Just show up, y'all. That's the biggest thing. Show up. Even if you're tired, show up. I know we be tired, we deal with so much on top of being a mentor. And sometimes we want to be like, listen, I'm gonna catch you next week. The next week come, and then you be like, well, I'm gonna catch you the next week. And I think that's the biggest thing that can hurt a relationship with anyone, is if they feel like everything else is more important than them. And for them to even already seek out a relationship with you to have a mentor, it's because they want someone to care enough to pour into them. So show up, y'all. Show up. So that's, I guess, my 3 answers. Well, 6.
No, I 100% agree with how you ended that, the show up part, because the first time I ever had a mentor, unfortunately, my late stepfather passed during the time. This was high school, so it wasn't like yesterday, but my late stepfather passed away and he didn't know how to handle that. So he stopped showing up. So I didn't have another mentor until my professional life. And I vowed never to be a mentor like that ever again, because he just didn't show up. Like, he didn't know what to do. And it's not like I was some crazy, like, bad kid or whatever. I wasn't gonna, shoot up nobody, but he just didn't know what to do. And he kind of like disappeared almost. And his son went to my high school. So it was just like, nigga, I know where you are. So so, it was weird because like he did that, and then it kind of turned me off from mentorship for a very, very long time, for an extremely, extremely long time. I mean, the mentor I have now, I've had for the last 10 years, but before that, like, and I'm the same age as Kahlil. So like, it's been a long time since I've had a mentor, but now that I do have one, like, she is like family and things of that nature. And she's not even the same race, but she still gets it. And she shows up when I need her to show up.
That is so good. That's something I've learned. And again, just coming from a super pro Black family, you know, they was part of the Panthers and all that kind of stuff. I felt like in order for me to accept help, it had to be from somebody who was the same race as me. Lies. Honestly, sometimes you get more help from folks who don't look like you. So that's another thing I definitely want to say when it comes to mentorship. Be open to who is around you that really may be able to provide some great value to your life, but maybe because your mindset is so limited, you're not even allowing yourself to develop that relationship even more. So +1 to that.
Chanel, I have a question for you. What would you recommend or suggest to mentors when they're faced with challenges with their mentees, such as mentees not opening up enough, being shy, not showing up, not expressing too much, being scared, being frightened, being a little bit feeling like they're going to be judged or criticized? Or how do you work with that, like without the mentor being intimidating with their approach? Because I've noticed, like in my career, sometimes I can be a little bit maybe intimidating or like too much for mentoring some, not necessarily for mentoring, but like when I speak to someone who I'm trying to help out,
The
but I
passion.
have to watch out. So how do you,
Yeah, I
like,
was gonna say it's the passion.
is the
And
passion?
that can be intimidating, but you know what I mean. It is what it is, and we just gonna be together. Don't play with me. But anyway, I feel like for mentees like that, I take extra time to get to know them outside of our relationship. So I don't make it about work anymore. What I did with my mentees a couple of months back. So I like to have mentee meetups with those who are in like similar disciplines. And so it was around the time where House Party was really like popping the app, right? And so what I would do again was to make it totally not like work. I would meet them where they're at. They like to play House Party. Okay, I'll get on there. We'll play Uno. Or we'll play like different games like Heads Up or whatever the case may be. Make it fun. You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes when mentees are guarded, it's because they feel like they have to give you their best self so that you don't like abandon them or don't want to be around them anymore. Like it's almost like a protection mechanism. So showing them that I'm here through the thick and thin, and I really, really want to get to know you before like the work thing or the career thing, because they also might be might be wanting to hide insecurities that they don't want you to even discover yet. Take that off the table. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what? We're just gonna get to know each other. What's your favorite game? You know what I'm saying? How can we, or what are you doing outside of work? Or what do you do outside of school? What's your favorite basketball team? And kind of bonding on that level. And then you'll be surprised, like they'll begin to open up about things maybe that's going on at home, maybe things that like other people have told them about themselves that might make them uncomfortable to speak to other people because they feel like they're inadequate. You know what I mean? It can be so many different layers that may be causing them to feel closed off for sure.
I have a question. Hi, Chanel.
Hi. Hold on one second. Listen. Alex, I'm gonna come to you in a minute, okay? After him. Okay, go ahead. I'm here, Dustin.
Yeah, so as a graphic design student who is currently trying to Zoom conference his whole entire schedule away, how do you make for meaningful connections as a mentee to your mentor to make sure that you're having adequate discourse regarding things that are usually dealt with face to face, like the detail-oriented things like regarding like mood boards or other projects that have to be in place? What do you do to kind of like humanize this kind of awkward kind of Zoom conference world that we're living in right now as a mentee and a mentor?
So let me just make sure that I'm fully understanding your question.
Yeah.
Are you asking how do you continue the meaningful growth in the relationship?
How do you make the relationship consistent, and how do you make it appropriate for the kind of context of the relationship, and how do you know when to start asking for advice that is kind of centered on being more of like as a person who's growth oriented like me as a student, you want to learn more about your subject matter. How do you inquire respectfully without necessarily being pretentious or prying? Is there any such thing? Yeah,
That's a good question. So first answer is show up as your full self. I feel like even with the words that you're saying, like, oh, being like pushy or pretentious, for them to say that they want to mentor you means that they actually do. Because I promise you, we're so busy that we're probably making time out of no time. So know that your relationship that they have established with you as their mentee, that's important to them. And so don't allow fear and thoughts in your mind to overcome again like that voice of what you desire and what you need out of that relationship. If it is that you need to ask them questions about different practices, then shoot them a text. If it's that you want to get to know them on a more personal level, text them, once a week and say, how's your week going? You know what I'm saying? You might forget maybe because you're so busy, but what I do, even for my mentees, or my mentors honestly too, but my mentor specifically, I put it in a week. I set a reminder or a timer or an alarm, text such and such. Now, how's your week going? And boom, we text. It might last a day or two. After that, I'll text them again next week. So even that means a lot to a mentor, to know that you care enough to check up on them. You care enough to ask how they're doing, how their family is doing. So much is going on in the world. We really value that. You know what I'm saying? Because other folks ain't doing it. So that's that. And then also when it comes to furthering your discipline, like I said, just ask. Hey, I don't know. Hey, Sally, how do I best prepare for a whiteboard challenge? Or what are your favorite books for graphic design? Or who are your favorite folks to follow on Twitter or Instagram for inspiration? Boom. When you text them that, they'll send you other text messages, they'll send you links, and that you have your resources. But when you don't, you just miss that shot. So you take the shot, because if you don't, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So that's definitely my answer to that. Alex, I know you've been. Oh wait, Justin, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Did you all four of them?
I think the one question that you hit on was in respect to being aware of like the context of the relationship as it evolves. Because I feel like my relationship with my mentor right now, who's also part of the Rose, is amazing. And I want to make sure that I'm reaching out earnestly to make sure that I'm not, falling behind regarding things that he's expecting of me. And so there's kind of like teacher student kind of dynamic and older brother, little brother dynamic kind of gets into play. And I need to know how to balance both so that I can be an effective mentee.
Good question, but don't put too much pressure on it. Again, like I said, when you reach out, it will build itself organically. Like with any relationship that you have, right? When you meet a friend, they don't automatically just become your best friend. They earn your trust, they earn your respect, and then you begin to share even more. So definitely, let it build and develop organically, and be your full self. There's no fear here. Okay.
Got it.
Cool.
Sounds great.
Alex.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, thank you so much for your wisdom. It's just incredible. I am curious. This is very specific, but I have a feeling that it might be relevant. I'm curious if you have dealt with mentorship relationships that have gotten out of your scope of ability, and how did you manage it? And if you want a specific example, I can get it, but I'm curious if you have something that comes to mind.
That's a great question. That's why you need a village. Because honey, you pass them on to the uncles and the aunties. What I will say specifically, I've definitely kind of experienced a little bit of everything when it comes to just growth, right? And within the space, and they feel confident. I say, hey, I think you and so would be really great, and then kind of connect in that way, so that it's not awkward, like, oh, we can no longer benefit from each other, because I don't believe that. We can still have that connection, but I do want to make sure that you're continually growing. So almost like a promotion, right? Like you're just promoted to your auntie. I have also noticed that sometimes mentees are not ready to be mentored. And that's an awkward space to be in as well. And in that regard, this is how and why I learned to set expectations early for me and for you, so that we can revisit that. And if the expectations are not being met, then perhaps we need to revisit if this really is a beneficial relationship. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to be filling our lives with toxicity. The mentorship, just lifestyle in general, really just being the servant leader, is already voluntary. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't, I got to deal with my family, but that's just because they're my family. But you know, I'm volunteering to be your mentor. So I honestly don't have to be in this space. And I feel like we should be kind to ourselves in that regard, because obviously we want to help everyone. I know in my heart, I do too. But I realize, again, everyone is not in that mental space or capacity to receive all that you want to give them. And that's okay. But just definitely making sure that you are positioning the conversation and going back again to what we discussed in the beginning for what we expect of each other, letting them know that there's some things that I expected of you that, you know, I've seen time and time again really not being met. And so like, maybe let's put a pause on this until you're really, well, child, I would say until you're really ready, but find your language that works for you. And then say, you know, we can revisit this in another month, or, you know, when you are in the better space mentally and emotionally and physically to be, to benefit from this for sure.
Hey, Chanel, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, cool. Yeah, I actually need to chime in with one question, just based off of the chat discussion and something that was in the back of my head, you know, with regards to the professions that you mentor, right? So you're basically a software engineer slash UX researcher. You know, I basically got to know you in the design community, graphic design, UX design, you know, God knows what other kind of design, you know, design their community, you know what I'm saying? That's how I even got, you know, into this realm in the first place, was, you know, through design. So I know that the roses are pretty advertising heavy. So can you speak to, like, you know, whether or not you have mentored people that are more in the advertising space, creative directors, creative strategists, you know, ad people, you know, of all stripes, you know, if at all?
For sure. I think, and that's something that we even have to do better on. Mentorship, yes, you should have specific mentors for your discipline, but also mentorship can be broad. It can be across all different sectors of life. Maybe you want someone to help you with better approaching your network skills. So you should have a mentor that is like a super saiyan when it comes to networking. Maybe you want a mentor to help you when it comes to capacity and balancing all the things that you're doing in your life. Connect with folks who are, again, a super saiyan like juggler in their capacity. So I think for me, again, I meet my mentees where they are, and I ask them what they're expecting of me. I ask them what they're looking for in a mentor, like what it is that drew you to me, and what it is that you're looking to get out of me. How can I make you a better person? Like, what about me can I instill in you for you to walk away, or even continue to walk in this relationship, becoming a master at that? And I think that that's really the biggest thing. So it really doesn't have anything to do with discipline. I mean, I have folks who are in Marcom, art direction. I have, you know, an art director mentee. I mean, software engineering, mechanical engineering, aerospace. Child, I ain't looked at, listen, I am not a plane engineer at all. But I think the biggest thing is there's some things that I can provide for that mentee that, you know, he's not able to do on his own. And there's some things that he can show me that I'm not able to do. So again, it's a give and take. And again, like, let's look at it in a holistic perspective. What can I gain from that relationship? Yeah. Any other questions?
All right. Well, yeah, I think that's it for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for participating. And, you know, let's stay connected. I don't know, maybe Chanel's a candidate, you know, for Rose membership. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, honorary Rose.
I'm just saying.
Automatic acceptance, automatic acceptance. Already accepted.
I'm so grateful for the opportunity, guys.
That's what's up.
So much fun.
You gotta run it. Our membership co-lead is on the call, Nick. So, you know, Nick, what do you think?
I thought that was the launch professor.
You're muted, Nick. You're muted, Nick. You're muted, Nick Fury.
Oh my God. No, I was just gonna say thank you so much. This was so informative. I know I'm personally gonna take a lot away from this, so I really appreciate your time.
My absolute pleasure, guys. This has been so much fun. I feel like this is what it's all about, right? Like getting into the communities, digging deep, getting into the trenches with our mentees and really like running the course. So thank you all for being so amazing, so dope, and for having these kinds of calls so that you guys can be and provide a better strategy for your relationships too. I mean, I really appreciate it.
We appreciate you, Sister Chanel. We appreciate
Thank you.
And you're always welcome back. You are always welcome back to, sit with us,
I did want to
It
plug
was-
something real quick though.
Plug it
Apple-
away.
Apple is launching this residency program for Marcom for all kinds of designers. I mean, art direction, UX, web development, graphic, I mean, you name it. So I definitely want you guys to go ahead and search that. It's for the Orchid. I'll actually send it to Kahlil. I'll send him the direct link to go ahead and have you all apply. It's a 12-month residency, fully paid for, very well compensated. Wow, might I ask? And it ends with a full-time role at Apple. So if you guys are looking in that space or looking to come on over, definitely. For those who are entry level, looking into getting into UX, Google just launched a UX apprenticeship as well. I think it's like 6 to 8 months or so. That application goes live in about a week or so. So definitely stay tuned or stay plugged into that. And I'm not sure if you guys are looking to go into engineering project management, but we have some rotational programs coming up for Siri. So AI ML. So if you guys are interested in that, I will send all those links to Kahlil to kind of share with the community. Again, it's my pleasure. And you got to share the wealth with the family.
Hey, Chanel, very quick question. Are those paid internships?
All of them are paid, very well paid, very
Okay.
well paid.
All right. Gotcha.
We're gonna get Alex one so he can get an iPhone.
Hey!
So I'm gonna write Alex a recommendation.
Listen, man.
I
am gonna double them. I am. I'm gonna get the Pixel 6 and I'm gonna get my Mini this year. So.
Hey, listen, the guy
We
green
good.
over here, y'all. But thanks so much. Y'all are awesome. Continue doing what you're doing. You're definitely impacting the community in such an amazing and positive way. I was so inspired when Kahlil shared this opportunity with me. And so I've taken so much from you guys as well.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
We out here. All right.
Have a good
No
one
more
tonight.
meetings this week, guys. So don't worry. Y'all don't have to see my face no more, but you will see me twice next week.
I know that's right,
Thank you.
y'all.
Thank you, Sister Chanel. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Later.
Have a good week. Ciao.